make sure it's recording this time because last time we didn't record the screen. Let me see. Start recording. Okay, now it's recording. Okay. All right. So can you see my screen?
I can see it. I can see my letters AF.
Okay,
Not
yeah.
see the quizzes.
All right, so I'm gonna run the quizzes. Like I'm gonna do the movement of the quizzes, and then you tell me when we start talking. I'll just move it automatically. I don't think it's a big deal. But let's go to the question 50.
All right.
All right.
All right. So the correct answer is B. The client must be allowed to withdraw. And it shows that we both got the same answer.
Yep.
Okay. Did you have any questions about that?
Nope. I mean, only thing I would ask because you can never really hold a client. Honestly, you could never hold a client against their will. Um, that'll be to harm the client. So if a client wants to leave, whether it's closed or open group, they have the right to leave.
All right.
That's it. All right.
Oh. So we both selected A, setting ground
Mm-hmm.
rules. And we just want to make sure that the standard of behavior is known as a norm so that the leader can specify the ground rules all in the group, so that everybody can be on the same page.
Yep. I couldn't say it better myself.
Okay.
All right. Next.
So the correct answer is D.
Yes. So group norms refer to the range of acceptable behaviors within the group. That just falls back to the previous question about ground rules. So group norms is like what is normalized as far as acceptable behavior in regards to no threatening, no um saying like things that'll just intentionally hurt someone. So you kind of have to make sure that everyone feels safe. And that goes back to feeling safe. I guess it's confidential. Like we would not want you to discuss this outside the group. So you're just making sure that the behavior within the group is not harming the people in the group.
That's correct. And the explanation is saying the same thing you are. It's just the norms are the written or unwritten do's and don'ts of the group. So that is correct. Awesome job.
I had to think about that one for a second.
Yeah, that one I had to pause and think of well because I was stuck between the group dynamics and the structuring of the groups, but then I was thinking about the operations. What is it asking for specifically? And it refers to the study of the interrelationships and the interactions between group members. So
Mm-hmm.
to me, that
Yeah.
defines the group operations piece for that
Mm-hmm.
answer.
Yeah, I agree. Because I was thinking about like how they explain family dynamics and interrelated relationships between the family. So like that's a like remind me of that. So I was like, okay. group dynamics.
Some of the other things it mentions is talking about like the group stages, the cohesiveness, leadership style, and decision making are prime examples of the group dynamics, which would be under the operations as well.
Operation. Yep. Thank you. Okay, next question.
Far so good.
Uh-huh.
The
We
word
doing
that
good.
I was like, I'm just happy I'm getting most of them right. I'm like, okay, okay.
That means you learning. You learning, especially from the previous questions. Kind of like if you remember what was the statements or even it's just the answer and how it was relevant, you're able to maneuver to the next questions because some of them they come from the previous questions. So it builds on top of each other. But the word dynamic means group, always changing.
Mm-hmm. And I
Um,
got stuck on that one for a second because I'm just like, well, we just talked about the operations, and so I was like, is it really focusing on the operational manner? But no, it has to be on the always changing because we never know what may
mhm,
come and lead up to what's
mhm.
happening in the group. So,
Yeah, and it just depends on the group that you have, the kind, the people within the group. Okay.
so I'm sorry for the back.
Awesome.
I did not have enough time because I had to get this towel situation taken
Uh,
care of.
oh God, no, it's fine.
I apologize. So
Mm-hmm.
experts firmly believe that a common weakness in many groups is, and the correct answer is, what is it?
A lack of goal setting.
A lack of goal setting. So most experts see that using a male and female co-leader um, is a distinct advantage. Often goals are defined, yet they are too vague. So setting a
Mm-hmm.
goal would be a weakness in a group. No, further that a common weakness in many groups is, yeah, a lack of goal setting. So not setting enough goals. Sorry.
No, it's fine. And then also too, like if you don't set any goals, you don't have a direction for the group. But that's still for the group to define. Like when people join, like for example, anxiety groups, you know the goal, like anxiety reducing technique group or whatever you want to call it. You know the goal is to reduce anxiety, but it's the people within inside the group can determine what that looks like for them. So if you don't have any goal or anything like that, then the group is gonna be just people talking, and which is still good, but it won't be any direction.
Right. Yeah, they won't be absolutely moving towards the bigger picture.
Yep, yep.
So I did choose that wrong. Would you like to share why you chose your answer?
Because if a person who's doing a whole bunch of exercises is structured because they have a structure of how they run in the group, so they come in with their own agenda or an agenda in general, so it's structured. Sometimes groups are unstructured because they don't have a definitive way that they're going to run the groups after like a certain, maybe they do like the icebreakers in the beginning, but then they say, oh, so anybody want anything they want to talk about. But with someone who has a group exercises, they're going to be doing like worksheets or maybe like something that involves them doing something. So that person is going to be kind of dictating the meeting more with the group exercises.
Okay, sounds good. But I didn't think of it that way.
Ah, yeah, I got that question wrong before too. So I picked the wrong one.
So some there's object to the word unstructured in group work because a group cannot have structure.
Right.
Cannot or cannot not have structure.
Mm-hmm. So unstructured groups work better, like from the previous one, because they are ran by the clients themselves. In a sense, you're just there as a leader or co-leader to give direction to the group, as far as helping them guide and process, like and I guess the word interact within the group. So when there is, for example, they say, oh, unstructured groups, they don't have structure because they don't. Like you come in, you talk about what they talk about what they want to talk about versus you saying, hey, it's sunny outside today. Anyone want to talk about why it's so sunny today? Like, you don't get to lead the group. The group leads itself.
Very unstructured.
Hmm. I always get that a little complicated.
Also, when it's very wordy too, sometimes it's hard to.
Yeah, you really gotta like read it.
So then it says some research demonstrates that structured exercises with feedback early in the group serve to improve communication between group members. So when there is a structured group, to me, that sounds like as you're giving feedback, it makes it easier for the group members to be honest and open and willing to share information. Unlike if it was unstructured and it's just the group members talking and sharing information and leading themselves, sometimes they're not able to go in the right direction to keep moving forward with that communication.
Hmm. Yeah, because the reason why A would could be a possibility. It just depends on what kind of group you're running. Because it says some research demonstrate. So I think the best answer, yes, is B, based on the information from this book. But yeah, structure exercise with feedback early, and you're right. It helps to create cohesiveness within the group and being, like you said, being able to have that open, authentic communication. So I agree with that. Yep.
So, in some literature, group cohesiveness or we-ness is known as group unity. And I think the definition is within itself in the question, talking about the cohesiveness and we-ness that does provide unity.
Yep.
So group members assume roles within a group. Which of the following is not a group role? The last one, which is the reactive schizophrenia, because you don't really label people when they're in a group. It's more so trying to put them in a category that best fits them with other people, to have that cohesiveness, to have a better understanding, and to not feel isolated and alone, but to see that there's others out there like them that are similar.
Yep, I agree. And then also too, like, if someone's reactive and they have schizophrenia, that means that they're having symptoms. So a person who's actively having symptoms would not benefit from group counseling as well. Okay.
I was
Next
gonna say
question.
that too. No, I'm just kidding.
Huh?
I said I was gonna say that too, but I'm lying. I wasn't. I
Oh.
wasn't.
Look, hey, yours is good too. It's two. We got two perspectives. It's okay because we're both right. So we
So,
both got it
I'd be
right.
like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah. I was gonna say that. I was gonna say that.
so a group member who insists on asking other members inappropriate questions is also, I mean, is known as a peeping tom or an interrogator, because interrogators, they keep asking questions to get more information.
Yep. Correct.
The follower goes along with whatever the rest of the group thinks. From a personality standpoint, the follower is non assertive because they don't really put themselves in a position to lead or to have a direction. They just tend to go along with whatever's being done, said, or whatever is happening at that point.
Yep.
The gatekeeper may secretly wish that he or she was running the group. I think they are like the underdog and I don't want to say is jealous of the person that's ahead of them, but they know that they have the abilities and that's something they strive for, that they would like to be. But because they're the gatekeeper, they're not going to be able to speak up and take that lead role just yet.
Yep. And then two, because they have power, they have some sort of not power, but they have some sort of a higher role within the group. So they also kind of could see themselves on that same level as the facilitators, and they have similarities, and that's why they got picked out by counselors to be the gatekeeper because they possess those qualities you speak of. Scapegoat.
Yep. Everybody picks on the scapegoat because they're an easy target and they
Yep.
don't speak up for themselves, basically.
Yep. Mm-hmm. The most vulnerable.
Oh, I got that one confused. So a female group member is obviously not participating. A group member playing the gatekeeper is most likely to mention this and urge her to participate. And I
Hmm.
had picked the storyteller thinking like they would be the one to kind of like try to push them, but that's completely wrong. I picked the absolutely wrong one.
Okay. You was thinking in another perspective, but yeah, gatekeeper because that's the one who notices when people aren't talking or notices they're kind of like almost like a co-facilitator, so, but they just notice things about the group that they could point out that the facilitators might not know or be
Right,
aware of.
right.
Mhm.
So it is A and B. So cohesiveness or group unity is desirable. It promotes bonding and a sense of we-ness between group members. When cohesiveness is strong, nevertheless, it also can be negative as it can stunt creativity and it can abet conformity.
So what I look at it is like if it can because if the group is so cohesive, they're not willing to change because they like the dynamic of the group. So it's going to stunt the growth of the group because people are going to start to get comfortable and coming in and doing, probably the same thing from last time, or like they don't want to talk about something that can like make the group dynamic seem like, oh, this is getting a little complicated and challenging. And then with the conformity, um, yes, you can have conformity, but you can also have a place of stuckness within the group, right? And then when that happens, then there's no way the group can move forward to do the next step with whatever the group dynamic is to reach the goal because they're comfortable and they're stuck in that place.
Gotcha. So D will fall under A and B.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
In a healthy group, members
Mm-hmm.
are flexible and can change roles. So then, as long as the group is healthy, they don't have to assume a role and never change it. They don't have to have no roles, and they don't have to spend a great time practicing the role reversal. They are able to change as needed to fit the needs in their group.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So even if somebody's a gatekeeper, someone else can be a gatekeeper, just in case, for example, that gatekeeper is out, right? Then it's like, okay, well, Mike, you could be the gatekeeper for today. And you know what I mean? So you can allow other people the same opportunity too.
Go for in the group task roles. They help solve problems. They aid in terms of goal setting and keep the group focused, and they are also seen as positive. So the group specialists classify member roles as task roles, maintenance roles, and self-serving roles. The distinctions are actually fairly easy to remember in everyday life. When we refer to a task, we mean a job or something which needs to be accomplished. So that helps them work towards a goal to get to the bigger picture so that they are able to move forward.
Yep. Sounds good.
I was worried that word maintain and maintenance.
Oh, maintenance roles. Yeah.
Maintenance roles, like task roles, are positive since such roles help maintain the group.
Mhm. Yep. And the key word too is maintain, maintenance, and maintain.
A trick question. I was
You
like,
gotta watch out for
yeah, I
those
was like, I
words.
thought I was trying to catch him. Not today.
You did it though. You got it right.
No, I took my time. I had to slow down, take a couple of deep breaths.
Uh-huh. You had to ground yourself.
Yeah, I had to ground myself and slow down and stop reading so fast.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I have a habit doing that too, especially when I feel like I know the answer. I'm like, don't look at the first and don't look at the first answer. Think that's right. Look at all the answers first and read it again twice if you have to. So yeah, I'm here with you.
Like we just said, as long as you're reading each answer, you'll be able to find it. Because in that first answer, it says they promote democratic leadership. But when you're talking about self-serving and individual roles, they work against the group, and then they serve the individual and not the group.
Yeah.
With democratic leadership, you do have followers, you do have people going with you, um, but that wasn't the correct answer for this question.
Right on it.
So the correct answer is if a group gets stuck in task roles, the interaction suffers. And then if a group gets stuck in maintenance roles, little work or tasks will be accomplished. So when you're talking about the task roles and maintenance roles are indeed positive. The group can suffer if the group is not flexible and remains in one or the other for too long. So this clarifies the point made earlier that group members ideally will be flexible and able to change roles.
Yep. That is right on the money.
Read it off the paper.
Hey, look, the paper. I be doing that too sometimes. You know, it's fine. 4 seconds.
And it. So group specialists define role conflict as a situation in which there is a discrepancy between the way a member is expected to behave and the way he or she actually behaves.
And
So
that's. Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you can
Oh,
go ahead.
and that's right only because, well, that's the correct answer in this case because remember we go back to what is expected from the group members as far as like behaviors. So this goes back to behavior. So a situation in which there is a discrepancy between the way a member is expected to behave and the way he actually behaves. So if someone violates the behaviors that is set up as far as the rules and standards within the group, and then they act otherwise, then that creates a problem. Now you chose D, I believe, because when someone's criticizing someone in the group, it create conflict. But in actuality, they're challenging the members' beliefs, right? So a thing about group is that it allows other members to see something in someone else and be like, well, did that really just happen? Right? Or like, do you think you might have just been overthinking it? So it's like the members within the group challenge each other and that they confront each other, which is still good because it allows them to challenge maybe their irrational beliefs or whatever they stated. But if someone's in the group and are like, I'm gonna kill you, blah 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 blah, and they said no, no homicidal or saying you're gonna harm someone, and then they do that, then that disrupts the whole group. So that's why that would be B would be the best answer.
Okay, that makes sense.
3 seconds.
Like when I was stuck,
Yeah.
a major group dynamic is group development, and this usually expressed in terms of, I can't see that, theories of group
Group
stages.
stages. Uh-huh.
I was,
So oh, go ahead.
I was just thinking on like the Rosenthal effect and the Hawthorne effect. I wasn't sure what those were. And
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't the number of hours of group conflict because it was
Uh-huh.
talking about the major group dynamic. So I just
Mhm.
didn't know if the Rosenthal effect and the Hawthorne effect had anything to do with like the group development. So
Let's see if we can look that up real quick. Rosenthal effect. Uh, the Rosenthal effect. Let me see. When we expect certain behaviors of others, we are likely to act in ways that make the expected behavior more likely to occur. This is the Rosenthal effect. The Hawthorne effect. Is that in the book as well?
the answer,
Like the name of the effects.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Like I was stuck. I didn't know if that was.
Oh yeah, it's a thing. Um, and the Hawthorne effect refers to the fact that people will modify their behavior simply because they are being observed. So Rosenthal is when we do things the way we want other people to do them and hope that they would do them because they see us doing it. They hope they will model our behaviors. And the Hawthorne effect is because, oh my goodness, they're watching me, so let me act a certain way because they're looking. Okay. Do you want to look up theories of group stages? Or what does the book says that in there?
I mean, I can read the whole thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Very helpful here. Not, I repeat, do not attempt to memorize every single first because you have better things to do. I would hope. Second, because there are far too many. Theories are very similar. Basic form have a good chance of answering the question. First stage generally is one that's so simple you won't need a memory. Others have termed this stage as orientation and exploration, or pre-affiliation, or forming. The next stage usually is designated as the transition stage, though you will often see it termed power and control or storming, which logically comes after forming. The third major stage is the working stage, norming stage, cohesion stage, or negotiation, intimacy, and frame of reference. The final stage is sometimes known as the separation stage, the termination stage, the closure stage, or adjourning. Choices C, no relation to yours truly, and D will be covered in the sections on research.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Next question or statement.
Mm.
All right.
And Delon is a famous existentialist therapist and a pioneer in the group movement. He suggested four stages: orientation, conflict, cohesion, and termination. In 1977, Tuckman and Jensen reviewed 25 years of research and came up with five stages, which is the forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjoining. Which stage is Tuckman and Jensen's paradigm is similar to Elohim's orientation stage, and the correct answer is forming. I was trying to read that twice because it was so long to make sure I understood what I was reading.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely it can seem like it's a lot too. Um, and the reason why I pick forming because every every group has a forming portion, right? Where they have to form it in the beginning, like just to laying the rules and what kind of group it is. Like they have a format, but also in the book, like I noticed, it says it mentions how you just have to know how each theories can be similar, as far as the group formation. But that was my take. Like every group has a forming stage, regardless of the theorist, the older modality that's used. Okay. Next question.
Final stage suggested by theories of stages generally deals with issues of separation and termination. Because once you have went through all of the stages and you met all of your tasks or to-do list, then the next stage will be is to separate and terminate and take those tools and strategies with you so you can be successful. So that breakaway is what they struggle with, but it has to come.
Mm-hmm. That's that termination, and with any kind of like counseling, honestly, like you have to prepare them in the beginning. Like this is only, you know, temporary, right? It's not long term, and like this is what separation will look like at the end, possibly. So yes, I agree.
So the initial group stage has been called forming orientation or the pre-affiliation stage. This stage is characterized by the approach avoidance behavior. And I had picked members working on the interpretation of unconscious behavior. So I was thinking like they were trying to get everybody on the same page by making conscious decisions to move forward, but that's not the correct answer. Could you tell me why you chose approach and avoidance behavior?
Uh-huh. It goes back to helping professionals that we talked about, the approach avoidance. So sometimes you might say, in a group, a person might say, the facilitator will say, with setting boundaries, oh, you can't curse in this group, but you can also do something else. So it's like you see a good and a positive, right? So when you start doing the forming and orientation stage in the beginning, everyone's getting to know each other for one. And sometimes you'll be like, oh, I don't like him, but I like her, so I'm gonna go sit with her. So you have an approach and avoidance because you have some good and some bad within the group, and you're trying to get that cohesiveness together at that time. So that's why I chose them. Was that okay? Did you get was it clear?
That was fine. Yep.
Okay. All right. Awesome. I clicked the wrong one, but I was supposed to hit C.
Okay, a client would generally feel the most suspicious of others in the group formation and exploratory stage. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
see what others are gonna do to see if you trust them. So just trying to find that weakness in the group so that you are able to move forward with the group as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because you don't know if you can trust an individual within that group first, and you don't know if otherwise they trust you as well. So it's true.
So fights between subgroups and members from rebellion against the leader generally occurs in the second stage known as the control stage or the transition stage to see how comfortable they are, to see if they are able to. I think it's like that power struggle that you have
Mm-hmm.
to go through first before everybody can get on the same page in order to
Mm-hmm.
get to the bigger picture.
Yep. Sounds good.
Don't hype me up. Don't hype me up.
Ah, I'm hyping you up. You're doing good. Keep going.
I'm trying. A hierarchy or pecking order among members occurs in the stage of storming, also known as the power control stage. Just reflecting back to the other question, just trying to see like where people stand, like the order, everybody's roles that they're playing.
Yep. Because, like you said, everyone has a role within the group, and so everyone's trying to figure out, like you said, what their role is. So, yeah.
Planning occurs before the group begins and continues throughout the life of the group to make sure that things stay in order and that the needs of the group are being met so that they're able to move forward.
Yep. And then also too, because the dynamics of the group is always changing, right? So you have an initial plan that the groups is going to be about anxiety and how to reduce the anxiety symptoms. Still the goal, but and that's how you plan it. But then like when as the group continues, as the correct answer states, like that changes, like as far as how they would get there, and so it's always changing.
That just talked about the final group stage, also known as the termination stage, is geared toward the breaking away.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I was the only one in the whole option that mentioned anything about breaking away or ending something as well.
A group therapist is a diagram to better understand the dynamics between subgroups and members. This is called charting a pictorial sociogram. So it's a study of measuring person to person relationships regarding what members in a group think or feel is known as sociometry. So in essence, sociometry is a quantitative study of relationship concerns in a group, credited to Marino and Jennings, graphically displays the group members' affiliations and interactions.
Yep. That's question number 82. Um, I think I was going to say something about it, but I think that's it. Yep, that's it. So just remembering that um, if someone's doing trying to understand the dynamics of the group or subgroups and members, you will use a charting and pictorial sociogram. All right.
So a group leader who asks each group member to calculate what he or she has learned during a given session is promoting summarization, which is also appropriate individual work, is merely the act of bringing together a number of important thoughts, insights, feelings, or transactions.
Yep. And then if you think about the word in therapy, which is similar, like you're summarizing things from the beginning of the group and throughout the whole group. So you're capturing all that information that was gathered in the beginning. Ha, we got that quick.
Leader who wishes to stop inappropriate discussion should rely on blocking.
Yeah. It's when you block it, like for example, you ignore the behavior until they stop. You don't give it any attention.
The leader attempts to relate one person's predicament to another person's predicament. It is also known as linking. Like
Yep.
mutual concern, connections. It also enhances the group interaction so that they can see that there are some similarities between the groups so they don't feel alone.
Yep. And it creates cohesiveness.
I remember this one from the other quizzes. if I'm right. Oh, I was wrong.
Yeah, me too. I usually try to get like I knew it was either vertical or horizontal. So horizontal, if you think of the line, the horizontal is straight across, and the vertical is up and down. But let me just double check. Um, Unless you want to read it, you can read the explanation if you want.
Working in a group setting, the leader decide whether to
Say that again.
so when working in a group setting, the leader decide whether to as a whole called a horizontal intervention or with individuals within the group called a vertical intervention.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, by now you realize how valuable memory devices are in terms of helping you to remember distinctions. Here's the one I have found valuable in this case. If you picture a group in your mind, it appears spread out horizontally. On the other hand, if you picture yourself doing counseling with an individual in a group, the individual is usually sitting up in a vertical position. In the case of the vertical intervention, the leader is providing individual counseling in a group work setting. Technique Techniques which focus on a group relationships, processes, tasks, and interactions are said to be horizontal intervention strategies. The horizontal approach is often called the interpersonal method since it focuses on interactions. The vertical approach has been termed intrapersonal leadership. Shapiro, who suggested the interpersonal leadership distinction, feels that a leader does not really choose one or the other, but tends to behave on a continuum in this respect.
Yeah.
Choice D, oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was agreeing.
I was gonna say then it goes into the other ones.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you don't have to do it. You just want to kind of like keep focused on what the why the reason that answer is correct. Yeah. So horizontal, you think it's more massive. The lines are everywhere. Vertical, you're talking to that one line, that one person. So okay, got it. I'm like, I better get this one right. It's like, I just.
I think of the vertical one. I think it's like the letter V, how you're both facing each other with the two lines.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. And I just think of it in the way it's a vertical line sitting in front of you. Where if it's a horizontal line, it's probably all around you. That's how I think about that one too.
And it's like that middle line in the H.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Hmm. I got that one wrong though.
Therapists must make more decisions than in
And that's only because a group therapist has more people they have to work with in the group. They have to manage more than just one individual that you would have an individual counselor. So let me know if you want to read it, read the explanation in the book too.
uh,
Oh, I can't hear you. Sound far away.
oh, I'm sorry, is that better?
Oh, it's a little bit, yeah.
I'll read it all. Just one second. I
Okay.
messed up when I printed it off. So a group therapist is charged. Yay. A group therapist must make more decisions than an individual therapist. Thus, most experts would agree that it is more difficult to do productive group work than it is individual work. Nevertheless, in many settings, the only way to reach all people who need counseling in an infinite period of time is to use group work. And that's all it says on my end. Does it say something different on yours?
No, mm-mm. No, it's just that when you think about it, it's gonna be more work. Like, say if you had one kid, that's one kid, but if you have more than one or two or three or whatever, it's more responsibilities. So
Take that in times by however many number, and that's how many more choices you got or decisions
you
you have
have
to
to,
make.
and that's personalities you have to manage and observe. Yeah, I didn't read that one the right way.
Yeah, I was just like, huh? I'm thinking it was like splitting something else, but
Mhm.
yeah. So when a counselor reads the journal in this field, it becomes evident that a researcher slash practitioner split exists in a split exists in group work. So when you look at the answer,
Mhm.
what in the world?
Is it extensive?
Trying to see when it comes. Okay, practical research about what exactly works best in group settings is scarce. More, Moreover, many students in the field of group work have not been well controlled. In many studies, the independent variable, which is the experimental variable, has not been scientifically defined. Say, for example, the independent variable in a study is a T group intervention. This indeed could create a problem since a T group to leader A might not seem like a T group to leader B. I'm sorry, that last sentence threw me. This
Say that
indeed.
again.
I said that last sentence threw me all those letters.
Yeah,
So this
yeah.
could create a problem since a T group to leader A might not seem like a T group to leader B. Okay, got it.
Okay. Yeah, it can be confusing.
That one is confusing. I'm gonna have to look back into that one because it's very wordy.
Yeah, that's why I was saying some of it is when a counselor reads a journal in this field, it becomes evident that research practitioner and slash practitioner splits exist. So it means that there's a lot of different work, like research within the group, but it's different kinds of explanation of how effective group work is.
Okay, thanks
All
for the
right.
breakdown.
You're welcome, because that's what I had to go ahead and look that up myself as well, because I was like, I can't comprehend that part. At 10 seconds.
I will start here. So experts predict that in the future, group leaders will be more like life skills trainers. So the position has been taken that in the past groups have emphasized a narrow focus, and in the future groups should begin to deal with a broad spectrum of issues of what some call a comprehensive model of group work. A comprehensive educational life skills model could stress preventative mental health skills, hopefully lowering the need for therapeutic groups. Therefore, ultimately, the counselor of the life skills group would act more like a trainer than a therapist, which makes sense.
Yeah. I know some of the groups I'm running now are PRP groups, like people who are like who have housing, but they need like ADL skills assistance. So you
Yeah.
have the clinical part, which is psychoeducational, and then you have the PRP, um, which is more so like basic ADL skills, like increasing their level of functioning in other life skills. Okay.
Okay. I thought it was, but I was like, no. According to researchers, groups are all. According to researchers, groups are effective, although researchers cannot pinpoint precisely why this is true.
That goes back to the explanation about why it's split and why I said like research is undecided about how effective the groups are and what way would be most effective to run groups. So if you want to read the book, I'm not sure exactly like how much reading it is in there.
I read it.
Okay.
Research in the area of group work is sometimes classified as outcome research or product research.
Mhm.
Outcome research addresses the question of whether the group was able to reach a given set of goals or simply the desired outcome. An outcome study attempts to answer the question of whether or not the group was successful. Process research is aimed at the question of how groups work. Research asks what allows the group to reach a target outcome. A major limitation related to group work is that a group leader can lose control and members could experience emotional harm.
Yep. And that goes back to the do no harm to the clients and also setting the rules and boundaries within the group of what's acceptable behaviors and within the group. If you don't have that, then if you have an unexperienced counselor or co-leader, then they can also contribute to that as well.
Truly. A major advantage of group work versus individual work is that members learn to give in addition to receiving it, and group sessions generally cost less than individual counseling sessions, which I knew that one was correct. But then I
Uh-huh.
was also thinking like the leader has a less complex role than that of an individual counselor, but that wouldn't make sense because they have more than one person.
Uh-huh.
And then the group leader nearly always possesses more training than the individual counselor. That is true. I forgot that they have to have an extra training to be a group counselor. So A is correct.
Yep.
I have to take what is that like 0.3 CEUs or something?
I believe so. I think it just depends on where you are as far as when you're doing your group trainings. Because right now I haven't had any any trainings and I ran a group, but it is more complicated um, when you're doing a group and you also have to like do trainings. So I did a couple of trainings. It wasn't considered CEU because I'm like I haven't graduated, but yeah, you definitely have to learn how to run group dynamics.
So, what statement best um, I cannot say that. A major advantage of group work. The group work setting is sometimes analogous to where is the, I gotta go because I can't see it on my screen.
Oh, okay.
Um, to the communication and interaction of everyday life. So overall research would support the notion that groups works, and yes, they have advantages. However, and this is one important one, folks. There is no body of research which would say that in general group work is superior to other forms of treatment. Please reread the previous sentence. Yes, it's that important.
And that goes back into what I was saying, like groups moving into more like everyday skills, and how what happens in group is similar to what can happen out in the community with other people, because it's various interactions with different people within the group. So it can happen in everyday life, and that's the goal, is to help you have a higher level of function with whatever area that you have weakness in, or you feel like you can develop.
Which of these factors is not delineated by Yalom as a curative factor? Manifest dream content and insight into the unconscious mind.
Lean
Yalom is
content.
an,
That's like, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say Yalom is an existential therapist. And choice B is psychodynamic. I'm at psychoanalytic.
Like an analytical, yeah. You think of Freud, unconscious
Mm-hmm.
dreams. So
Interesting.
definitely wasn't y'all.
Going over my head. I wasn't even thinking about that.
No, no, it's fine. It happens. But now you know. That's good.
In terms of research in the group leader's personality, qualities such as flexibility, enthusiasm, and common sense may be helpful to a very small degree. So, unfortunately, overall studies have turned up little in terms of special characteristics of group leaders' personalities. So much for the concept of super leaders.
Yeah, but that just goes back to nothing's really has been proven to be the most effective way to run a group, no less how effective groups are and why.
So, Kanye's suggested that group intervention is intended to prevent, correct, and enhance behavior. I'm trying to find the definition. I feel like somehow some of my stuff got mixed up. Oh, here it goes. So R.K. Kanye's group work grid model includes four intervention levels: individual, interpersonal, organization, and community population. The intervention can be correction oriented by enhancement oriented for either personal or task functions.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good explanation. And I just chose that because it's a behavior change. It's not more so of a internal, because then that would be more like individual therapy. So you're trying to modify behavior within the
That's
group.
I thought I clicked that one to be honest, but my mouse was like just a little bit too high. Click the
But
wrong
don't
one.
feel bad. That was me earlier, and I was like, chose the wrong answer.
I was looking like, wow, I picked that one. I didn't even know what, like I read it, but I forgot what it said. I was like, well, it's too late now to turn back the hands of
Look,
time.
you really can't.
A group leader who wishes to assess the impact of the group ideally would have an outsider observer sit in during group sessions and consequently rate the level of behavior change. So, if you would like to have your groups assessed, the best thing to do would be to have somebody outside of your group to come in and just sit and observe to give you feedback to see what you can either do to improve or or make changes.
Okay. Let's see. Having an outsider, so you can just see how the person from the outside can see how your group members are acting more so than you, because you're in the moment with the observers, and so you have someone come in and just see if the group dynamic is flourishing, if anybody reports like within the time of the groups, if their behaviors have changed. So it's another way of measurement. Right?
A
Okay,
group,
got it just in time, but it's incorrect. That was so
oh no.
but it was correct.
A group
Like,
leader who is counseling children under 10 years of age could best enhance the treatment process by involving parents and asking them for input. So, if you would like to enhance the process of what's going on, the best thing to do would be to involve the parents and get their input so that you are serving the child to the best of their abilities.
yep. And you also have to remember the kid's a minor as well.
Say that again.
I say you have to remember that the child is a minor,
Oh, yeah. So then
and
the
so you still have to involve the parents anyway, and asking for them to be involved in a more, I guess, in a nicer way will be more forthcoming for them to want to be involved in treatment with the kids too. So yeah. Alrighty.
that's a little different.
Last one.
I don't listen to Supposed to. When an adolescent complains about his or her parents in the group, it is best to avoid taking sides, but help him or her see the parent's point of view via a therapeutic technique such as role playing, which is true. Having the child see things not just through the child point of view perspective, but also through the adult perspective might have them change their mindset, not because the counselor changed it, but because of the information they are sharing.
Yep. Give you another perspective of what the parents are going through or what they see that the kid might not see. Yep. And we are done. We have finished this chapter. Let's see what happens when I click next. So we're gonna exit the quiz. And we are done. How do you feel about the 50 questions for this one?
Thanks for helping me out and leading and all that you do.
Ah, no problem. You did great tonight. And you said you
Uh,
was nervous.
I was. I had to process and think. Uh,
No, you did completely fine. So,
Pick number two. No, I'm just kidding.
look, what? Oh, you said you want to do Monday as well?
I can do Monday. I can.
Okay, okay. I'll let you do Monday. So Monday will be we're gonna start working on career development. That'll be chapter 7.
Okay.
Okay. And then we can do the same thing we did tonight. I'll just listen and talk as well, but I also will run the screen for you so that you can facilitate for Monday at 8:30. I'll send the invites out to everyone so they can have it. And then that's it. Thank you so much for attending and get some rest and I will see you on Monday.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Good night.
Girl.
All right. Thank you all for attending the NCE study session. I really appreciate you being here with us. And for those who are taking the NCE, I pray and I hope and I am sending positive vibes your way that you will pass the NCE. I am ready to hear if you could put in the comments like when you take your NCE, that would be great because I would love, love, love to know how you did it, and even if you didn't pass, like what you felt like you need to work on, and if there's anything I can cover beyond the study groups that I have, I am working on additional content. So just let me know, and thank you for being here with More Than a Therapist. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel.